Hey y'all, it's Uncle B and Fee back at it again for another Tuesday, 8
What
to
it do?
9 Eastern Standard Time. You know, on this show, we talk about dating and relationships in the 21st century. We got to talk amongst one another because our parents can't school us on this type of dating that's going on nowadays. You feel me?
They don't know. They don't know.
Yeah. We got an exciting topic today. We got something that you guys need to know a little bit more about.
Woo! Yes. This is something that should have been pointed out years and years and years ago to a whole lot of people, a whole lot less pain. We're talking about the dating stages that you need to know about in order to successfully get married.
That's right. And Uncle B is going to break that down in just a second. Stay tuned.
And thank you for tuning in.
All right, y'all. So thanks for tuning in once again. If you are new, welcome. If you're joining us again, thank you so much. We appreciate having you here. And as always, you already know what to do. Subscribe to the channel, like the video, and leave us some comments, please.
Yes.
We want to hear your feedback. Now, let's jump into today's topic, the 4 phases of dating. With an intent to marry.
Yeah.
Break it down, Uncle B. Break it down.
All right. We already know the 3 main ones that people always talk about. We're talking about courtship, and then there's dating, and then there's marriage. You know, is the fiance stage and in between there. But what people really don't talk about is what's supposed to happen between.
What's supposed to happen?
Sound like I got an echo. What's supposed to happen between the dating phase and getting married, and that's coupling. And so let's go ahead and break it down. So courting is like, hey, you get to know somebody, you know, you see them, you have some level of attraction, let's go out, let's see each other, blah blah blah. And then you make that decision. It's like, hey, let's be temporarily exclusive, which is dating, which is boyfriend, girlfriend. But what happened was that people get stuck in that girlfriend boyfriend for too long. And when I say staying there for too long, it's because, you know, if the goal is to get married, that's one thing. If the goal is to stay boyfriend and girlfriend, that's completely different. And if you're, you know, you get into that situation where you're with a person and you're with them for like over 6 months, over a year, over 2 years, and then it starts getting weird. You know, it's like, okay, we're not really together, so should we be going to grandmother's house for Thanksgiving? We ain't really together, so should we this, blah, blah, blah. You're living in a temporary land, and it's also sort of make-believe from the standpoint of like, when you see each other, you got your best foot forward. It's like, okay, we're going out to dinner, or we're going to make a special dinner. You pull out your best 4 recipes every time.
All the fun stuff.
All the fun stuff. And then, you know, at some point, you know, you need to start figuring out how to take this to the next level, because if you don't, once again, the weirdness starts happening, and also you know, the luster starts coming off. You know, you're starting to see like, okay, it's not as good as it used to be. Do we really? What are we doing? So coupling is just what it sounds like. If you think of a train yard, you think of 2 different.
Well, where does coupling go in that equation with the phases?
Between dating and marriage. So the coupling is when you really get serious and ask questions, and the questions that you're starting to ask go from the temporary questions to the permanent questions. So it's like, can you live with this person forever, for the rest of your life? Live with, not just love, live with. So that, you know, it's things that were slightly irritating that you just would brush aside because you're living in that temporary land, you know,
honeymoon phase.
Yeah, the honeymoon phase. It becomes like, okay, this person does this little tick, whatever it is. And it's like, all right, that's cool if you see it like 2 or 3 times out of the week. When you see it every day, every morning, this person is like,
you know,
annoying. They the first thing they do when they get out of bed is they digging up their nose. What's
wrong with that?
Hey, some people think it's flavorful, some people don't. It depends on you. But you know, they fart in the middle of the night, whatever it is. They, you know, if you're not, and those are the small things. But you know, you're also talking.
Wait, Uncle B. We should break down all of this stuff in the 7. There's like 7 key areas that we need to break this down in, so that we get these people some bite-sized chunks of what they should be trying to, I guess, look for, when they're trying to move into marriage.
Okay. So, the first two, the easiest ones to recognize are belief systems. And we're talking about your religion and your politics.
Mm-hmm.
So,
that's easy enough. I mean, there's not really much else to be said if a person doesn't agree. If you are in a certain religion and you need that person to be that same religion, or you have a certain political belief,
yeah, exactly. And it can get just a little bit more complicated when you talk about whether someone, even if they're like, okay, we're both Democrats, well, one's conservative, one's progressive. You need to have some level of conversation so it doesn't get confusing. It's like, especially if you're going to be rearing children and you're like, okay, well, this child has to be Muslim or this child has to be Republican. That's when it gets, hey, you got to have that conversation. It's sort of easier conversation because of what it is.
The only other way I can see around that is like sometimes, like I know some people that may be in different religions, but they're not too tight about each of their religions. Like one person can cross over to the other. I really kind of question that, honestly. I mean, if I'm a staunch, Muslim or Christian, I'm thinking there's no way I'm going to move over to the other thing if I really believe. But yeah, it depends on like your level of true belief.
Yeah. And the whole thing about this entire piece right here is that this is for adults. This is because you're going into an adult situation. Living with somebody forever. And so if you can't have the conversations, if you can't be honest with somebody, I really don't want to go to church 7 days a week. If you can't, but I'm so in love and I'm afraid to lose this person, you don't have them if you can't have these type of conversations. So that's really important. You're going to get married to somebody that you don't have. That doesn't make any sense. And
so religion and politics.
And the next one is like lifestyle, because it's not, religion and politics is a belief system that a whole bunch of other people are involved in. So that's involved. Your lifestyle is your belief system about how you're supposed to live your life. And, some people it's habit. It's things you do every day. So it's like, for some people it's like, I have to work out every day. Some people it's like, I need to go out every day. I need to, evening times, I want to go to the movies. I want to be out and about. Some people are like, I want to be at home eating
some steak and eggs and Cheetos.
And Cheetos, yes indeed.
And those two do not mix. Because if you're an active person and you got somebody who want to lay around on the couch, eventually, you're gonna be doing this. Because after a while, one or the other is gonna get irritated. The one that likes to lay around is gonna be like, damn, why can't you just chill sometime? And then the one that wants to be active, they're gonna be like, man, get your ass up off that couch. I'm tired of seeing you sitting there. So that's definitely a big deal. And I mean, lifestyle even extends past just going out and stuff like that. I mean, it could even extend it. And that's like such a vast subject area for, that people need to really take into consideration, because your lifestyle encompasses so much. I mean, it could actually, well, we're going to talk about this one next on health, but it encompasses all of that, like your health, like how you live and, how you move around in the world, and even driving, you know what I mean? Like all those little things that people don't really necessarily think about.
Why you driving so fast?
Yeah. All of those little things, get taken into consideration.
A big one is actually work, your work ethic. Some people are just like, I got, it's like stay to 10. That's not a problem for me. Other people, it's like, it's 5 o'clock.
Yeah.
Shut it all down. I'm at home, blah, blah, blah. So it's like.
You should be too.
Yeah.
So that definitely can cause a rift. So you definitely want to talk about your lifestyle habits and dig deep into all of that type of stuff. Yep.
And
so. Then next.
What is next? It is.
Health, right?
Yeah.
Wait. We got health. What's the other one? Wait, hold on now.
Well, let's go ahead and talk about health, though.
Yeah, health. Okay, housekeeping, health.
Yeah. Health is
that's a big one, because, and I know for me personally, I like to keep it healthy, and so I'm not a vegetarian or a vegan. But I probably, most people look at me, they think automatically I'm a vegetarian because most of the time I'm not eating meat.
Right.
Now, that's not to say that the person I'm dating can't eat meat, because I eat meat. But if I just see somebody picking out all day, every day on steak and potatoes, they don't work out, they smoke,
Mhm.
they drink all day till oblivion. They just don't do anything. It's just everything is just all about gluttony. It's like
Mhm.
that's not going to work for me. I just feel like we are just not going to be matched. And I mean, to some people, that's a small thing, but that's the
Mhm.
reason why you have to have those conversations to find out if it is small or if it's big. Because
Yeah.
I know some people that just, you know, like to me, health is such a big thing too, because it's like, I mean, I want somebody I can do things with and hang
Mhm.
out and, have life with, like share life
Yes.
with, like, be lively, I should say. And
That's important. Yeah.
yeah.
And I think, for me, my policy view concept is that, if you're married, the goal, my job is to keep you alive, and your job should be to keep me alive. And, that should be in terms of like constantly improving on our health. So, it's like, hey, yeah, if you're eating certain things that you shouldn't be eating, it's like, hey, can we guide each other away from these certain things that, hey, you eat it, it's not good for you, but just eat it anyway, type of thing, whatever Krispy Kreme, whatever it is.
Yeah, right.
Um, yeah, and that whole thing of like as you get older is like, yeah, I think it's unfair and sort of gluttonous for someone to say, you know what, I see my spouse is taking care of themselves, but I simply don't care. And so I'm just going to sit around, blah, blah, blah. Next thing you know, you in a wheelchair, the person got to lift you out of bed and slide the bedpan under you. And now they're taking care of you and all this stuff that, I mean, life happens, but if you're
If
doing
it's
something that's
happening because you
preventable,
pushed yourself into it, yeah,
hmm yeah,
that's
yeah,
totally different.
yeah. So, that
And
applies.
mental health too. Let's
Hmm.
not forget mental health. I mean, I know it's like a big buzzword now, but that's not. It's not a buzz. I hate when things become buzzwords sometimes, because every time it becomes a buzzword, it's like every time someone says it or when I say it, all of a sudden it's like, oh yeah, people start quoting things in the media. But no, mental health really is. And I think mental health shows itself in so many ways. I mean, it shows itself in how you communicate with the other person, showing compassion, being understanding, just
Hmm.
in how you guys try to get along and, just work cooperatively together. Those kind of things matter. And you kind of have to have conversations to find out how a person handles certain situations. I mean, I consider that a part of, that's not necessarily mental health per se, but it is, I say it's a part of health, just because you kind of want to see how that person thinks.
Hmm.
Um, Maybe that's a different category, but you just want to know how that person thinks, and you know what I mean, just to see
Yeah.
if like, can you guys vibe or mesh or bring your own individual selves together and everything will work.
As a person who has slept with the enemy,
Uh-oh. Ooh, I want to hear that. Juicy.
oh no, I mean we were in a relationship and things just didn't. It went south, and it was like it was a Cat Williams made that joke. It's like you wake up, it's like you again. God damn it, why don't you go somewhere? It's it's for real. So you don't want to live with someone who is you guys just stress each other out. Um,
Hell no.
because that is just it takes up so much energy, it takes up so
Ooh.
much, it takes up life. And and when you're talking about stress is going to affect you in a lot of different ways when it comes to your health, obviously. So the next thing you know is like, well, now you have a back pain that you have no idea where it came from, but you have somebody in your ear yelling at you, oh, do this, do that, blah blah blah. And it's like you just get to a point where it's like ooh, it's
Real
horrible.
talk. I actually had tension migraines from that one time.
Hmm.
Somebody and I were living together, and progressively over time, it just turned into this combative situation. And I'm one of those people that I'm not with that. I'd rather
Hmm.
just like, either if we can't talk it out calmly, I'll just shut it all down altogether. I'll be ready to walk away. But he was the type of person that just wanted to fight all the time, and so that fight thing all the time, it stressed me out to the point where I remember whenever I used to always go to like the Higgy stations, like in the store, to check your blood pressure. I just do that for fun.
Right.
And
Okay.
I used to go in there and my blood pressure was always normal. It's supposed to be like 120/80, so it was always somewhere around there. I remember first time I saw it was like 140 over something like was it 90 or something? I was like, what the hell is going on here?
Yeah.
And then I started noticing it was like that, like consistently. Nothing about my diet or lifestyle had changed except that person.
Yeah.
So that's why that is a part of health. Okay.
You ain't killing me slow. I'm just saying that you
Okay.
ain't killing me slow. That ain't gonna happen. So
yeah, you definitely got to pay attention to all that stuff. So that's health.
Yeah.
Next we got housekeeping.
Oh.
Speak on it, Brian.
This one is important. I mean, you know me. My place is that's why I do what I do. And I like to be neat. And so and not everybody's the same way. And so there are a couple of ways to approach that. I mean, obviously you have to have the conversation and you have to be, here's the whole thing about this process. Like I said, it's for adults. And so as an adult, when you make an agreement with somebody, especially someone you say that you love, that you want to be with for the rest of your life, it has to be like a real agreement. It's like, okay, tell you what, I'm a type of person that likes to be clean, so I'll take care of the cleaning side of things. You take care of another side of things. But I need for you. It's like someone saying, I need you take care of the financial side of things, and then I go crazy spending money. It's like the same thing with housekeeping. If I'm taking care of the housekeeping.
You want to be supported in your efforts. Keep up the cleanliness.
Yeah. And to me, also, it's if you're talking about having children around, whether your own or adopted, it's like, there's something that I'm not dealing with messy kids. That's and for daggone sure don't want to deal with messy adults. So it's like, hey, if you see that I have this area clean and it's that's too clean, let me just go ahead and mess up some drawers and just throw them right over there, just see what happens. It's like, nah, that ain't cool, player. That ain't cool.
Yeah, I cannot. You know what I learned about myself as I've gotten older? It's like when you're younger, you start, people tell you these things, like adults always tell you things that you should be like mindful of or that you should look out for, but they don't ever tell you anything real. Like they always tell you things like, oh, just make sure they treat you good and they're nice to you and blah, blah, blah. Anybody can do that in the beginning. One thing I have learned about myself is that right there is a lot. That means way more to me than I ever thought that it would ever mean to me. That whole cleanliness thing. I mean, I need my man to be clean. Like I need your nails, your toenails too, like all of that. They need to be clean. I mean, if you've been working on your car and you got a little grease in your nails, I'm not gonna hold that against you, but like, just don't be walking around every day just dirty, unkept, having like your stuff all over the place. Just like, I remember I went to this guy's house one time and I went to his restroom, and that's something I would always do. I mean, well, you're gonna go to the restroom anyway, but sometimes I want to go in there a little bit sooner.
Do some inspection.
Yeah. I didn't have to do any deep inspection for this guy. I literally, when I tell you, I lifted up the lid to use the bathroom.
Funkified. So
man, it was like different colored yellow dots all around not underneath. Like I didn't lift up the seat. It was on top of the seat.
Oh, wow. So
different colored yellows. Like it looked like it was a painting or a design or something. Yeah. Then, of course, I'm curious. I look in the tub. Of course, he got ringworm. No, he got ring around the tub. So you got ring around the tub, and then there's like little streaks, on the bottom part, with just dirt. And then like he had like all these colognes and lotions and man products and stuff on his counter. And I get it, because women do that too. I got one of those things that like a little caddy thing to put everything on just to keep it nice and neat, so that I can, clean the countertop though. But he had stuff all over the counter. So then there was dust, like all around the bottom where it was at. Then there was like toothpaste, like Oh, that just gets me. When I see toothpaste on the handles and the spout part
Oh.
and on the mirror, like it looked like it had just dried in. Oh my God, I could just go on forever. It was just
we get
disgusting.
it. Yeah,
I know.
yeah.
I
And
just got a visual.
the thing that I tell people is like, yeah, if you can afford to, I mean, there is great value in having other people help you out through your life in terms of cleaning. So
Groupon.
yeah. So it's like I have some people that do my laundry. They come pick it up, drop it off. Is like somewhere like $35 for that service.
Can I do your laundry? Can you pay me? Damn. Are you serious?
But it's like
every week?
Yeah. But here's the thing. If I'm dealing with one washing machine and one dryer, and I have to, it's not the putting it in and taking it out. It's the folding it and the waiting for the machine to do its thing. So you're talking about a whole day during the week of, I'd rather spend $35 than waste like 5 hours. So it's like
wasting $35. Waste that on me.
Oh, okay.
I come over here and do your damn laundry. Shit.
You will be upset about losing your day. Talking about you went to college and stuff, and you making less than $10 an hour. Okay. Come on over. I got some more stuff for you to do too.
I'm gonna put that in there.
Come on.
I'm gonna take your laundry out. I'm gonna just throw it inside your inside the drawers.
Oh, okay.
It's gonna be wrinkly. That's one thing I am not good at. After I take my stuff out, I just do a little quick.
I mean, but that's the whole thing. It's like you can also look for different ways to assist your life. But but once again, that's one of those things like having that conversation. And if you're saying that you're going to do something, you have to mean it. Because here's the crazy thing about coupling: if you do not do this correctly, you're setting yourself up for failure. If you don't do it at all, you're already failing. But if you're going into it saying like, oh well, this person will change their mind later on when they get some of the, whatever voodoo I'm going to put on them,
which is stupid.
Or I'm just going to say yes for now, but later on, they're going to forget. It's like, no, this needs to be a serious situation, because with the divorce rate is over 50%. And
I know. That's crazy, right?
Yeah, and it's like filing for a divorce, whether or not you have assets together or not, is very expensive. And if you are lying to each other going into the situation, obviously there's going to be a whole bunch of tension, and you're going to end up arguing with each other in court, which, even arbitration is like freaking $700 an hour. It's always crazy. Yeah, it's always insane.
I mean, I have heard some numbers, but damn.
Yeah, I had a friend of mine saying how, she was upset that she had to pay $5,000 for a part of the divorce. And I was like,
yeah, I've heard
you could have gave me $500. I would have sat y'all down and figured this out.
Hey.
Yeah. And so it's, if you want to avoid all of that, it's like you have to go into this situation honestly, with a pure heart, pure intention, and be ready to walk away. That's the most important thing. You need to be able to walk away with a happy situation with this other person. This person came to you in good faith, thinking that, hey, we can work out. You came to them in good faith, hey, we can work it out. And you find out, of course, by going through a process that, hey, nope, your religion is this, my politics is this, your cleaning style is that, my health style is that. If we got together, we'd end up with a problem. So go ahead and depart non-sexually. Friends. You're non-sexual friends or associates.
Let me say something about that. I say this all the time. I don't understand why people do not walk away. Like you said, you do have to mentally prepare. But I think you have to mentally prepare in the very beginning. Like when you first meet the person, not saying you don't give it your all, but you do have to just be mindful that there is a possibility that these good feelings I'm having right now are going to change. And I mean, it should be a high probability, because you cannot be feeling that high and just expect that to go on forever. Because who in life have you seen feeling high 100% of the time. You hear people that say they had a good marriage, but they'll also say we've had our ups and downs, but we've learned how to do this. We've learned how to do that. No one ever says, oh, we never fight. We never this, we never that. And actually, I've heard of situations where people say that they never fought. And then all of a sudden, it was like, I would hear later, there was some underlying, there was some underlying tension, and then something crazy comes up later or something happens later. I got a friend that said that. Like, he told me him and his wife never, ever fought. And then all of a sudden, one day, he's sitting at home and she serves him divorce papers. I'm like, wait a minute. Was there any at least tension or anything? He's like, no, I didn't even know we had a problem. In my mind, I'm hearing, I didn't pay attention to something, but then I don't know her. So I don't really know how either one of them.
And that's a dangerous situation too, where two people will just placate each other because, you're supposed to be in a relationship, you're supposed to blah, blah, blah. If you're, I've heard people say, if you're not arguing, then it's not real. I think you don't have to argue about it. I think you need to be very clear in your communications. And, for a lot of people, that's the reason why coupling is so important. So you can ask hard questions when you're still in that temporary phase. So you can like, hey, I feel more comfortable breaking apart. You get into a marriage and then have that conversation, or daggone near worse, you get engaged and then have the conversation. Because, a lot of people are like, oh, you go to marriage counseling and people would get engaged. You shouldn't do this. They would get engaged, then go to marriage counseling. So you get engaged, ring, and people hear it like, oh, yeah, everybody's excited. Then you go to a marriage counselor and it's like, hold up. You were serious when you said you wanted 5 children? I thought you said 2. You said 5 the entire time? I was lying to myself? Yeah.
It's harder to like get disengaged after that.
Everybody now knows. It's like, oh, this is going to be so embarrassing. We done spent some money. When can I get this ring back? All of those different questions pop up. So, it's all about being as I wouldn't say brutally honest, but it's like, hey, if you and here's the real thing about it. When I say being an adult about it, if you really love a person, you can't love them and be selfish, because that's not love. Love is like, hey, I want you to be happy without me. All my exes, I love them because they're happy without me and I'm happy without them. So we are, if they came around, be like, non-sexual friends, associates, some of them, but years pass. It's like, oh yeah, it's good to see you, blah, 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 share some memories. And then, yes, the reasons why we didn't work out, the reasons why we're not going to go down any roads. So the same thing applies to all people that you're meeting. You have to be accepting of like, hey, you can do things to work stuff out, but that's even more work. And you have to be willing to do the work. When I say willing to do the work, it's like, in order to stay with someone, you have to change, because that's changing. It's life changing. Going from by yourself to somebody is life changing. And you have some people who will sit there and say, well, I want to be independent, but I want to be married. You can't do that. It's like, you have to, this person is here. And if you love them, it's like, I'm going to cater to you to do the whole thing of providing protection, communication, nurturing, all of those things that make a relationship strong.
True.
Yeah. If it's not there, then woo,
look,
what happens next?
We didn't get into the other reasons. We done got all off talking about housekeeping. Now we talking about keep it real. But you do got to keep it real.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But there's two things to really keep it real about.
Ooh, are we talking about cheering and money and cheering?
Money and cheering, chitlins,
cheering,
chitlins.
Yeah.
All of the above.
Because I think
those are 2 things to really.
Yeah,
and you gotta talk about that.
Yeah, seriously, because it's like every child is $250,000, $250,000 from 0 to 18. So
hold up, even before you get into the statistics, children and finances are the 1 and 2 reason for the majority of divorces in America.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's scary, but it's like, it's the most obvious thing. And the interesting thing I always say is they don't teach sex, relationship, and money in schools. And so, sex and relationship can end with a child, not end with a child, but you can have a child.
Yeah.
And if you don't no education, all three of those things, you're going to run into problems. And so, yeah, you definitely have to have that conversation about a real conversation about children. Let's say a realistic conversation about children.
Yeah, like how do you plan to, like, first of all, I think that people definitely need to know, like, how do we plan to raise the children from the perspective of, let's just say situational. Like, I would probably do some situational, but like one person may believe in being a strict disciplinarian. The other one may believe in, I just want to let the kid just be happy. That's going to be a big problem right there. And I see that this is, to me, that's probably one of the biggest areas that I see that is a problem, is that you always have the two. And it's usually because, when you have a mother and a father, fathers and mothers usually don't necessarily tend to agree on how to raise children, just because the mother has her beliefs and the father does too, of course. But like now, and I hate to say it like this, but I guess now, because women are now starting to have like a dominant voice, which I don't necessarily think is bad that women are having a voice, but they're having a dominant voice in a way where now men are starting to back down and let the woman lead the household. And the funny thing is, like, I was talking to a coworker of mine. He's an older guy. He's like 73. And he was telling me how when he was younger, he said that, when he was coming up, he had, the draft in America was still going on, where like, they drafted men like right out of high school. And he was like, I really think that they need to bring the draft back. That'll get some of these young boys, that'll give them a good kick. What do you say? A good hard kick in the rear end. Like, he was just saying that basically his point was, he's saying how the guys now are really soft. And, we know a lot of that has to do with the fact that women are running the household. And I don't think that there's anything wrong with a woman having a lot of say. I mean, but I just think that there's no real balance. I'm not seeing the balance anymore. Like, I'm starting to see now where men are sort of being silenced, or they are silencing themselves, because they're like, I'm dealing with a lot out here in these streets, and then I'm coming home to some crying ass kids, and then I got to deal with her too. Yep. But it's like, she didn't produce the child on her own. You also did. Take up the equal responsibility of raising your child.
Well, it's there is a distinct difference between men and women that is biological and beyond social programming or anything like that, which is that men have to deal with a certain reality of physical danger and just being physical, period. In terms of like, if I have to go around the house and, the roof caves in, if it's me, my wife, and the children, I'm the one who has to go up on the roof. If you aren't raised, and I see this with a lot of boys, in particular, if they're raised with softer men or women who haven't had that whole thing of like, yeah, you need to go around and you know how to use a hammer, know how to use a saw, know how to fix a car, know how to do certain things. And it takes an extra level of control as a male. A lot of times, some women would like to raise their sons with emotion. It's like testosterone and emotion isn't a good combination. There's going to be an explosion, either outward or inward. That's the reason why you have so many young boys committing suicide.
I see it. No, I'm talking about in men. The men I know that are very emotional, God, they are the worst.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
They are explosive.
They don't know what to do. And it's like, that's, to me, that's very dangerous. You're talking about as a man who's had an older brother who's physically dominated me for the first 16, 17 years of my life. I know I don't need to hurt somebody because I know what it feels like to be hurt like that. And it's like, he's not a bad person. He has a whole bunch of daughters and he's raising them very well, doing a great job. Shout out Al. But in terms
I gotta meet Big Al, because I always hearing that Big Al, he must have really punked you.
He was an older brother. He was doing what he was supposed to do. So now it's like, if somebody comes around and it's like wants to physically dominate me, I know how to handle that. I said all the way up until 17. After that, My brother wasn't coming for me. So, but that's that thing that women, it isn't a necessity for you to learn because you're held in value by society. So if a little girl is like screaming, adults and everybody's running. A little boy is screaming. It's like, what's that boy yelling about now? I ain't going there. You're taking your time. You're gonna, he just got his leg is broke. He gonna be okay. It's a completely different. And I say this to women who are like,
it ain't like that no more, Uncle B. You've been under a rock.
Well, I mean,
these women running out to the little boys.
Well, I mean, that's and once again, that's that difference. Give you a story. Me and my cousin standing out in front of my parents' house. His son is about 12 years old, running full speed, hits the ground, pow, and starts crying. He's right there in front of us. We just both looked at him and then turned back and said, "Hey, what were you saying?" "Yeah, okay." Blah, blah, blah. And he kept crying. My cousin, like, hold on a sec. I don't understand what you're saying while you're crying. So if you can let me know what needs to happen next, we can take care of that for you. So what were you saying, man? My man just went from got up and left. Now that's real. And the reason why we both
that was me as a kid. I was raised like that too.
Right? But as far as, if it was his daughter running full speed, he's like, "Oh,
princess,
run inside, get your Curacomb, all this other kind of stuff, get some tussin." But when the idea is that if he, as a boy, later on as a man, has to the hordes are coming, fire, whatever, he's running full speed and he hits the ground and his sister hits the ground. He has to get back up immediately. He has the physical strength to maintain to do this. Get back up immediately, go get his sister. That's a lesson in manhood. It's like, yeah, you have pain, but you need to get over it so you can focus and get back to handling your business. That's where when women say, we're all the good men. Well, if you're training them not to do that, not to understand pain, not to understand that, you're not allowed to get beat up on. It's like my nephew just keeps on, he'll get into a fight and just fall on the ground. And it's like, it's fun to him. I'm like, no, I've been on the ground. They ain't fun. Next thing you know, it's ground and pound. It's somebody just stomping on you. So, but he hadn't had a chance to learn that. So it is a huge difference between raising a boy and raising a girl.
That's the part that's really kind of messed up, because it's like, even though I do feel like women have to definitely allow men a little more control over the way that they raise their kids, especially their sons, without really interfering as much. I also feel like the men need to step up and stop allowing the women to push them aside. Like, it's like men don't fight for their children. That's something that I consistently see with some men too.
Yeah, I mean, I would say that you have a lot of men who want to fight for their children, but you have an entire society from not only a legal standpoint but also a media standpoint who's just constantly saying, "Well, men are bad. You go to court as a man, you in family court, you're losing. That's just off mark. And if you try to take it public." Before the internet, you have more sympathizers on the manosphere.
I understand that, and I know we've had this conversation before, but my thing is, try. A lot of men don't try. They hear the conversation. They hear other men saying, "Oh man, this happened and that happened," and then they just give up. That's like me. I was raised in Oakland. I didn't see anybody in Oakland go to college. I didn't see anybody in Oakland doing anything, that was really, beyond, like, I'm not, and I ain't hating on no customer service jobs, but I'm just saying, like, that's kind of the avenue that most people did. They, as soon as they graduated from school, they went straight to customer service, or the guys, they start working for UPS or, FedEx or whatever. I mean, that's just real talk, you know what I mean? But like, I had ambitions to do other things, and I felt like, well, at the end of the day, I'm going to at least try.
Yeah.
Well, everything ain't happened the way I wanted it to, but I still was able to like live and thrive in that world in some capacity.
I would just say that there's room in both camps. There are guys who are really trying. There's guys who haven't tried. So it's on both of those sides.
Yeah.
But let's get to the last one,
Finances.
which
Yes.
that's pretty it's numbers. It's numbers,
That one
folks.
is a big one because
Mhm.
first of all, we live in a capitalist society.
Well,
Our
consumer
society is built
Mhm.
on
people
consumerism.
people buying. Mhm.
So the fact that we live in this, and not only that, I mean, there's other things too. Like there's other factors that have come into play in recent years. And just to briefly kind of put that out there, I think that with the whole, I won't say the advent of feminism because it's been around, but when feminism took another step up,
Mhm.
and women started working and demanding higher pay and all this
Mhm.
other kind of stuff, I really feel like that's when the prices, like the cost of living, skyrocketed because now instead of just having,
Mhm.
what was typically just the man paying for the household, now you have two incomes. And so
Mhm.
now the cost of housing has gone up. The cost of
Mhm.
everything has gone up
Yeah.
because of these two incomes.
Actually, it's a combination of the cost of everything has gone up, but the wages went stagnant. So there was that
Yeah.
concerted effort to get more women into the workforce, and so you doubled the work pool, and so it's less need to give raises. So since the 70s, wages have been stagnant. So I remember just thinking about it when I first got into corporate America, AT&T, doing IT work. I was making like 50K, and then it was like years later. I'm a marketing manager for an international marketing company, and it went up to 65. It was like, yo, that was like a 15-year swing, and
Yeah.
hugely different levels. But it was like there is but cost of everything else, cost of colleges had gone up, housing, everything had gone up. Snickers when I was a kid was 5 cents, not 5 cents, like 20 cents, something like that. And it's like it's gone up. Everything has gone up. So yeah, in terms of relationship, yeah, you definitely have to be like, okay, what are your goals as a couple? Because in order to retire, you need $3 million to be able to go from 65 to 85. And some people may live longer than that. And so, it can't be like in the boyfriend girlfriend phase. That's when it's like, oh, okay, we'll go to the restaurant. We'll go to the restaurant. We'll go to the restaurant. You get into that coupling phase, or specifically you get into the marriage phase. Then it's like that can't happen. That you have to, cook from home, save that money, stock it up, blah blah blah.
You gotta have a plan.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
you gotta be financially savvy. I mean, you have to be financial minded.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's the real word, financial minded, but you do.
Criminal minded, financial minded. Yeah. So I mean, you got you have
Some
to.
Criminals they make lots of finances, so yeah.
Yeah, you have to. You have to be on the same page with that, and some people get into their mind as like, okay, I should be able to get whatever I want to, and it's like, nah, it's coming at a price that you're going to pay in starvation because you hit older age 20 years from now, 30 years from now. There's this whole thing of like Social Security. There's the baby boomers are sucking it dry right now, and there isn't enough kids replacing the workforce.
Oh, I literally was just talking to a friend of mine today, and she was telling me that she was in a meeting at her job, and they were saying that the millennials are the very first generation that is going to make less than what their parents made. And I also read an article, and actually I read a couple of articles that said that I think, what was it? Half of millennials don't have like 3,000 or something like that in retirement right now, or it was like they had like different numbers, but I mean, you can see it, or I forgot exactly what the numbers were, but you can see what's going on now because, like you said, the wages are stagnant. Like even out here where I'm at now in Charlotte, I mean, I think the wages are still on par with the 80s. Like I was looking at this article and it showed a graph of how wages went up and went down. Like, then when it shows like the median, basically we're still stuck in the 80s, but inflation has steadily done this. So
yeah. Exactly.
I mean, you definitely, when you're coming together, it's a great thing to have two people in a household with two incomes, but you definitely, you can't take for granted that, it's two incomes. So that means that one person can hoard and the other person can't.
And the
You
thing
gotta
is,
have a plan.
yeah, and definitely the thing is for this whole process, if you're really into this person, you think is two things. One, you can't do a tit for tat. It's like, okay, this person is asking me to make this change and this change. Well, I'm going to find some changes to make. It's like, once again, this is an adult conversation. And the other thing is that the willingness to change, because realizing that once again, we're at this point where when it comes to being able to retire, if you're not able to retire, and unless you feel like being a greeter at Walmart, I'm saying this as a joke, but
It's not gonna be. That's not no joke.
Yeah. So it's like, life may be good right now, but there's this saying that I always hated: I can do bad all by myself. It's like you can actually do worse all by yourself. So take that in consideration when you're saying like, oh, this person is asking me to do this. I just refuse to make this change in my life. I'm fine the way that I am. And it's like, well, okay. 30, 40 years later, you could have had a good situation. Now you have a situation where it's like, well, and there you go. So that's all I got to say. Yeah.
So so let's just recap this for you guys. We got 7 key areas that you need to focus on when you are talking about taking your dating to the next level, which is marriage. You need to talk about religion and politics. Make sure y'all got that straight. Your lifestyle, health.
Oh yeah.
Housekeeping. Yes. And then finally, we got child rearing and finances. Make sure you guys are talking to your partner about this, because this is some real stuff out here. You know what I'm saying? What's going on out here? You can't be sitting up here faking the funk. Look,
faking the front. Yeah.
But anywho, it's been another, great conversation. Hope y'all got something out of it. If you did, or if you wanted to add something to it, or just want to say whatever you want to say, leave us a comment. Yes, let us know what you think about it. And remember to like and subscribe, please. And until next time.